Hello, friends. Are you ready for today's story? Well, here we go. The morning sun rose gently over the great forest, painting the leaves in shades of gold and green. Dewdrops clung to every blade of grass, and the songs of birds echoed softly through the air. Among the creatures who stirred that morning was Toby, the tortoise, slow, steady, and always cheerful. He lived near the riverbank in a small hut made of reeds and palm leaves. Every day, he carried a woven basket filled with fruit for his friends. He moved slowly, but he never complained. The animals often teased him good-naturedly. "Still crawling, Toby?" the squirrel would call from a branch. Toby would smile and reply, "Slow steps still reach the finish line." He was loved for his patience and kindness, though few ever saw him as remarkable. One bright afternoon, a parrot messenger flew over the treetops shouting with excitement, "Listen, everyone! The great dance festival is near. The winner shall receive a golden drum and a crown of mango leaves." The forest came alive with chatter. Monkeys swung from trees, practicing flips. Antelopes leapt through the fields, rehearsing jumps. Even the crocodiles swayed their tails in the river current. Toby listened quietly from his resting spot under a baobab tree. He admired how freely the others moved, how light their steps seemed. He had always loved rhythm and motion, but his short legs and heavy shell made dancing seem impossible. "I'll just watch," he said softly, though something inside him wished otherwise. That evening, the forest quieted as the sun dipped below the horizon. The sky turned orange and deep purple, and Toby walked to the river to clear his thoughts. He liked how the water reflected the stars before night fully arrived. As he gazed into the gentle ripples, something bright caught his eye. Half hidden beneath a bush near the water's edge lay a pair of shoes, small, brown, and beautifully carved, with a faint golden shimmer that seemed to breathe with light. Toby blinked. Now what could these be doing here? He looked around, but no one was in sight. The forest was still. Slowly, he picked up the shoes. They felt strangely warm, as if alive. Curiosity got the better of him, and before he could think twice, he slipped them onto his feet. The moment he did, a strange energy coursed through his body. His legs tingled, his shell felt lighter, and the ground beneath him seemed to invite his every step. He took one cautious move, then another, and suddenly his body moved with a rhythm he had never known. Toby wasn't just walking, he was gliding. His feet spun and twisted gracefully, the leaves beneath him scattered like a swirl of confetti. For the first time in his life, Toby felt fast and free. He laughed aloud, his voice echoing across the river. "So this is what it feels like to dance!" By sunrise, news had already spread through the forest. The tortoise can dance! Animals rushed to see it for themselves. When Toby arrived at the clearing, wearing his mysterious shoes, every eye turned to him. The squirrel stopped chattering. The monkey froze mid-swing. Even the parrot fell silent. Then Toby began to move. He turned in circles, slid across the grass, and jumped so lightly that for a moment he seemed to float. The animals erupted in cheers. "Unbelievable," said the rabbit. "He's moving faster than the wind," cried the parrot. From that day, Toby was no longer just the slow tortoise of the forest. He became Toby the dancer. The fame thrilled him. Everywhere he went, animals called his name, asking for another performance. The Lion King himself sent word, inviting Toby to perform at the royal festival. Toby was overjoyed and proud. As days passed, the attention began to change him. He stopped greeting his old friends. He no longer carried his fruit basket. When the rabbit invited him for breakfast, he replied sharply, "I have no time for such things. I'm preparing for the royal stage." The once kind tortoise was now full of himself. He spent his days admiring his reflection in pools of water, polishing his shoes until they gleamed. One night, a small firefly hovered near him and spoke softly, "Toby, remember your heart. The shoes may guide your feet, but your pride will blind you." Toby only chuckled. "Magic does not fail me," he said. "I am meant to shine." The firefly's glow dimmed as it drifted away. At last, the day arrived. The Forest King's clearing was bright with color and sound. Drums thundered, feathers shimmered, and laughter filled the air. Animals came from far and wide to witness the festival. The monkey danced first, leaping and flipping through the air. The antelope followed, her movements smooth as silk. Then the parrot spun gracefully in circles, feathers glinting in the sun. Finally, it was Toby's turn. He stepped forward proudly. The Lion King nodded. "Begin." The drums started, deep and powerful. Toby moved with dazzling speed. His feet glided like water over stone, every motion perfect and precise. The crowd gasped and cheered. But then something changed. The shoes began to glow brighter, too bright. Toby felt his legs tremble. His steps grew wild. "Wait!" he shouted. "Stop!" But the shoes wouldn't obey. They twisted faster, spinning him out of control. The ground blurred beneath him. The cheers turned to screams. In a flash, Toby was gone, flung into the forest shadows and carried away by the very magic he had once admired. Rain began to fall as Toby was hurled through mud and branches until he landed in a muddy pond. The shoes glowed once more, then slowly sank beneath the water, disappearing forever. Toby sat in silence. Mud clung to his shell, and his pride weighed heavier than ever. He stared at his reflection, tired, broken, and small. He whispered, "It wasn't me who was great, it was the shoes. I thought they made me special, but they only made me forget myself." A faint light flickered nearby. The firefly had returned. "The magic wasn't in the shoes, Toby. It was in your heart. The shoes only gave you a glimpse of what you already had, but pride made you forget." Toby nodded slowly. "Then I will dance again, not for applause, but for joy." When Toby finally returned to the village, the animals rushed to meet him. He was slower now, covered in mud and a little bruised, but he was smiling again. "Are you all right?" the monkey asked. "I am," Toby replied. "I lost something precious, but I found something better." "And what's that?" asked the rabbit. "Myself," Toby replied. The Lion King, who had been waiting silently, stepped forward and placed his golden drum beside the tortoise. "You have learned more than any dance could teach. The greatest rhythm comes from a humble heart." From that day, Toby danced again, but this time not with magic and not for fame.
He danced slowly, proudly, and freely, just as himself, and the forest danced with him. Even the smallest creature can shine, but pride can dim any light. Stay humble, no matter how talented you become. Bye-bye. Till next time.